Hey, what's up everybody? It's your girl Sherelle Unique here. So I'm here to do the review on the Salt and Pepper biopic. It was shown on Lifetime. It aired actually yesterday. Um Here, well, I'm in Pittsburgh, so it aired at 8 o'clock p.m. I actually just finished watching it again. Um and so I wanted to come on and do a review. All right, so this is going to be a little lengthy. I have a lot to say about this movie um, because there was obviously a lot of drama, a lot of story to tell, and so I want to make sure that I do it justice. Um, and I hope you guys enjoy it in the process. All right, so here we go. Um, so their career spans over 35 years, y'all. And it's crazy when I watch it because I saw that they met each other in 1985 and I was born in 1985. So it's like 35 years of a career. Like, that's outrageous. Like, they are definitely legends in the game. They're definitely legends in the game. And I love what they did for music. The contributions that they made. Yeah, they're just dope. So the ladies met in college in New York. Um, it it's cool to see them like just looking fly. Like, I was watching them and I'm like, dang, that was my mom. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, as a 35-year-old woman, and you think back 35, you see them walking, they're 19, 20 years old, and they're in their prime, living their best life. Okay, so it's just cool to see. Like, I'm like, dang, that was my mom just out here looking fly in her prime, and she was just about to have me, right? So yeah, it was cool to watch that. Okay, so let's talk about the actresses. There was Gigi Townsend. She played Salt. Layla Odom played Pep. And then we had Monique Paul, who played Spinderella. So those were the actresses. As far as the acting goes, y'all, I think that they did really well. Like, I thought they did a great job. I mean, the promos, the ladies did not look like Salt and Pepper on the promos, but I felt like Layla looked more like Pep than Gigi looked like Salt. But they captured the essence of Salt and Pepper, and I feel like if you can't catch the exact look, which is very hard to do, it's hard to find somebody who looks like you and acts like you, especially somebody that has such a big personality as Peppa. Like, it's like hard to, I could imagine it being hard to find somebody who could portray those roles. And then the dichotomy that that Cheryl played, like, as Salt, having to turn on and turn off all the time like that. I could imagine it being hard to find two women who would fit that role, show the friendship, have that chemistry between each other, and then be able to just really just fit the roles and give us the essence that we really needed for Salt and Pepper. Like, that part was more important than the actual look, I think. And I just think the girls did a great job as pretending. I felt like I was watching Salt and Pepper. Like, I really did. Let me tell you, the girls are beautiful. And they are body goals. Gigi Townsend, she was giving us body, yada, 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 yada. Like, she was giving us body. And I was like, go ahead, girl. All right. So, we have Salt. And Salt is, I mean, her real name is Cheryl James. She is like more of a has more of like a meek personality. It's kind of shy, kind of withdrawn, introverted, focused on her goals. She has a quiet strength about her, but it took her time to kind of find that strength and to find her voice. And so throughout this movie, we see her on that journey of finding who she is. When it came to Pep always kind of had this like outward strength. She was extroverted. Her real name is Sandra Denton. And so she just was real unapologetic with who she was. She stood out. She was bold. She liked to dress sexy. She just had a big, bold personality. You knew she was in the room when she was in the room, and she wanted you to know that. So Salt was dating Herbie Lovebug when she was going to college, and so Herbie was actually the brainchild for Salt and Pepper group, which is actually pretty cool to see, like, as he's creating these ideas and he's coming up with, dang, we should do it like this. No, that didn't work. Oh, we should do it like that. And like, to see, I really love these type of movies because I get to see the very beginning stages, the stuff they tried that didn't work, and the stuff that they were thinking about that I know now really blew up. But they're like, dang, should we do this or not? Like, I love seeing those goals unfold. Like, I always think that that's really, like, pretty cool to see. So let's talk about location, because I want to try not to go verbatim for the movie just yet. I'm going to do that. So if y'all want to hear that, it's going to come a little later. But let's talk about location. So it was in New York mostly, and I loved how they showed the city. Like, it made it look like the city. It felt like the city, at least to me, from the times that I've visited. I would love to hear from somebody that actually grew up in New York if they felt like the movie was like, okay, this is home, you know. I felt like it was very New York. Like, I thought it was very cool to see. I loved the wardrobe. Wardrobes was bomb. I mean, obviously these ladies are fashion icons. The very cool jackets, the jumpsuits, the I just love seeing all of the outfits. As you know, those who don't know, I love vintage clothing. I mean, you probably can tell. I love vintage styles and clothing, and so I really love to see that kind of stuff. So I thought the wardrobe in the movie was really dope, and I thought it really represented Salt and Pepper, period. What helped that along, though, is just having Salt and Pepper really, the real Salt and Pepper, really be influential in the making of this movie. The ladies, I watched some interviews with them. They talked about how they really wanted to make sure that they did this movie before somebody else tried to tell their story and told it all wrong. And I feel them 100% on that. I would not want somebody else telling my story and then getting facts wrong, and then I'd be over here mad because you didn't say everything that I needed you to say. So I love that they chose the ladies. Like, for me, that told me that the movie was going to be good. Like, they weren't going to be out here doing things that weren't right. Like, with that Aaliyah movie Lifetime did, like, the girl don't look like her. Though I didn't feel like she acted like her, and the music was not there. We didn't have all of those situations. Now, obviously, the girls could have looked closer to Salt and Pep, but the music was there, the fashion was there, the look was there, all the things that we needed, to me, was there. Let's talk about these wigs, y'all. I liked most of the wigs. Most. Okay? A few of them was a bit Tyler Perry play style. Like, Salt's short wig when she had the figure waves. I wasn't feeling that. So it's a few wigs on there that I'm like, okay. Nah. But overall, I like the wig choices overall. I felt like it went with their style and what they had for the most part. But yeah, that the wig that Salt was wearing when it was a short finger waves, that was a no. And then the wigs they had on for the Arsenio interview was terrible. Like, those were terrible. So you're gonna have some hits and misses with these wigs, y'all. I'm just gonna tell you off rip about those wigs. Okay, so let's talk. We had extras. So a lot of people didn't know that in the college days, Salt and Pepper worked at Sears, and they worked with Martin Lawrence. Obviously, Herbie Lovebug worked there. Kid and Play worked there. So it was so cool to see them being portrayed in the movie as well, because the girls could have left that out, as we, since we are going to be mentioning things that was left out. The girls could have left that out, but they didn't. They chose to really like put those little elements in, which I really loved. We had like somebody in there playing Hammer, like when they did a show with Hammer. We had Wendy Williams vocals on there, to represent her. Like, so I thought that was I love seeing that. Like when the ladies were in Sears, they Martin would get up and he would tell jokes. Cheryl Sott, she always talks about how she never really thought Martin was that funny, So, I mean, I guess you can't be right about everything. I guess you can't have an eye for everything, you know what I'm saying? Because Martin became, he probably was more famous than them, really. Which was crazy, like, when you think about it. And so I liked how later on they showed Martin on TV doing his stand-up comedy. Like, I loved that. I loved how they showed Kid and Play being Kid and Play, and just you see them at shows performing together. They see each other, they're clowning. Kid and Play, they I always get Kid and Play mixed up. I feel like it was one of them created the logo for the girls. The Salt and Pepper kind of looks like a superhero type theme logo for the girls, while the other one had a leather store, and he actually created the jackets for the girls. So it's like, I just loved hearing and seeing them working together to become stars. I love those beginning stages. Like, I always feel like that's super dope to see. Then, like, speaking of wigs, we got to see Herbie's transition from like a flat haircut, like a short haircut, to like having full on dreads by the end of the movie. Like, that was funny to see. Those fake dreads always look terrible. But that's funny to see. So as y'all know how I do, I always have notes and things that I want to make mention of. So I write them down and then I go from there. Okay, so the performances and the music, I loved it. I thought the music was great. Like, I thought the music was great. I thought the ladies did a great job with the performances and reenacting the performances. I thought they did a great job with the choreography. I like that stuff. Like, I thought it was good. They did What a Man. They did Let's Talk About Sex, Push It, Express Yourself. The diss record in the beginning. Like, I feel like, they couldn't have every song. Shoop. Gotta make sure I mention Shoop. They couldn't have every song, obviously, like, but the ones they did, I felt like it was done properly as far as that goes. The music sounded good. The dancing looked real, looked good. Yeah. I thought all that stuff was cool. They touched on love lives. I wanted a little more from Salt's love life, of course, but we know Salt to be a bit more private than Pep, and Pep's love life was a little more, I feel like, in the forefront in the media. So, they touched on those things, and I'll get deeper in verbatim. Overall, though, this movie was about friendship. It was about friendship, which is always nice to see women when they can come together and be friends and get along. For the most part. I mean, I'm going to get to the controversial stuff very shortly. But it's always good to see those kind of things and see the legacy that these two women built. Three women. The three women built, but mostly the two women built that legacy. And and just seeing them empowering and strengthening each other, and how completely different. So seeing their contrasts and seeing how they complement each other and how they will uplift each other in their own special ways as they need it. So yeah, those are like the surface thoughts about the movie. I actually really like the movie. So I'm gonna go kind of verbatim as much as I can for how the movie went, and then I'll go into my negatives, because I ain't gonna act like I just ain't got no negatives, because y'all know. So here we go. So Sandy actually wanted to be a psychiatrist. She mentioned that her dad had passed away when she was 17. You know, she really wanted to go to school and finish school, and she really wanted to be a psychiatrist. Cheryl really kind of didn't know what she wanted. Like, she knew she was in love. She thought about even being a wife to Herbie, but she didn't know fully what she was doing. Like, she knows she didn't like school, and she wasn't really going to class. So she just wasn't really sure, as a lot of people are when they're 19, 20 years old. Like, it's hard to know what you plan to be. The movie starts off, they're on their way to their big performance at VH1. They had not talked in 4 years. So both of them have their reservations and their nerves, and they feel a multitude of different feelings on their way to this performance. So then they skip off into seeing them in college. You know, Saut's sitting there. She's doing her work, or at least it looks like she is. Pep walks in like a hurricane, like she does. And she's in there trying to play spades, and she happens to ask Saut to be her spades partner. And that was the start of a very long journey together. Who knew? Like, stuff like that, like I said, is always fun to watch. Like, I think about, like, my high school sweetheart. Like, the moment he walked over to my table at lunch, that changed my whole life. Prior to that moment, my life was going in one way, one direction. The minute he decided to get up, step, and walk over to my table, that just changed the whole course of my life. So, like, I always think about those moments that change the course of your life. Like, it's pretty interesting when you think about certain things like that. Certain things are destiny, you know? They really are. Now, we're not together now, but it's just something to think about. Those things that change your life. All right, so you see them at Sears. Pep hears Saut talking about her job at Sears, and Pep's like, I need a job too. So that's when they start working at Sears. You see them working together. You see them hanging out with all of the people I mentioned earlier, the kid in play, Martin, all that stuff, all of them working together. You see them in that dynamic. So then Saut and Pep, they build this friendship, and Pep invites Saut to the strip club. She is completely uncomfortable. She's like, you know, she's completely covered up. You guys saw it. She let it all hang loose. I'm sorry, Pep lets it all hang loose. Saut is covered up, and she's in here looking like, what did you just bring me to? And so it's just holds in on their differences. And, you know, while they're out hanging out, Saut is like really terrified because Pep is like really trying to get with these dudes, and she's like about to start this little race, this street race, because she loves to drive fast, and she's just a girl on the go. And Saut is open to it. She's having fun, but you know she's kind of feeling her way. So then Herbie's talking Saut into like doing this group. Initially, Herbie was rapping too in the group with Saut, but he didn't like the way his voice sounded. So he's like, look, we got to do a diss record, kind of like Roxanne Shante, what she did, and we need another female. So Saut's like, well, maybe Pep would be cool to do it. And right off rip, Herbie was like really hard on Pep. Like, he was really being like a hater for real. Like, she's off the streets. not like in like a girl of the streets, but she's off the streets. It ain't like she's like some rap pro. Like he's just really giving her a hard time. She's rapping off beat, like and he's like really like just really kind of really just giving her a hard time. So you see that dynamic. And I think, Pep began to challenge him, and Salt, she's kind of docile. She's kind of like, do what my man says in that time in her life. And Pep is like, you're not about to boss me around. Like, we're not about to, So, what happens? What happened? So eventually the girls finish the disc record and they hear their song on the radio, and I can just only imagine what it would be like to hear your song on the radio. Like, you do all this work and you're driving one day and it just comes on the radio. Like, that sheer excitement, like, who knows what that had to feel like. It's always great to see that. Like, I remember seeing that in the TLC movie when they heard their song on the radio. Everybody gets out their car and just start acting crazy in the streets because that's their song on the radio. So then they have to do a high school performance, a performance at a high school, and they kill it. Of course, there's conflict with Herbie and Pep, and it looks as if that there was conflict between them throughout their whole like time working together. He would get on her. He would tell her she was moving like a groupie. He would take shots at her Jamaican accent and her rapping on beat. And Pep has tough skin though. She didn't give up, because had it been your girl over here, let me tell you, there would be no Salt and Pepper, because you're not about to be talking to me crazy. But then again, at 19, 20 years old, maybe I would have been around, because I don't know no better, So they keep working, and Salt and Herbie have a meeting with a record label. They get a record deal. They are told that they'll get $5,000 for their next single, $9,000 for an album. So at that point, Herbie is like really wanting to get rid of Pep. Like, he wants to get rid of her, and she's like, Salt's like, no, like I can't. I think Salt would not have been able to do this without that extra person pushing her. She would have tried it because Herbie was pushing her, but I don't think she would have really gone forth with it without that Pep energy, if that makes sense. So, I mean, he gave her an ultimatum, like, you split your half with her if you want her in the group, which was a real sucker move, if you ask me. I mean, I do think he should have made more money because he's the brainchild for it. But, like, he's just, this is when his ego starts to grow. You can see his ego growing. So then the girls are at performances, and while they're at performances, there's this pimp there, and he takes a picture of the girls. And they don't know, why he's taking a picture. He's like, well, you'll find out soon. You'll see your picture soon. And so they show up for their next performance, and the bouncer's like, Salt and Pepper's already here. And they're like, what are you talking about? We're Salt and Pepper. And so Herbie makes his way into the club to find that there are Salt and Pepper imposters, and this pimp has these imposters in here performing. And Herbie goes inside and breaks up the performance. Now, I don't know how real this part is, but he goes in, he goes on stage and shuts the performance down. But after doing that, he ends up getting in a fight with the pimp's boys. Really, he gets jumped. And Salt ends up getting jumped as well, because this pimp and these thugs stole the group and tried to come out with as imposters. So on to the next page, right? So he ends up getting a whole team, a business team. You know, he got somebody there for wardrobe, he got somebody there for hair, and you know, all these different choreography, like all these different things, which is very important to see, because when you are a performer, it's important to have a solid team. So Herbie was really like doing his homework, and he was really like, he was smart. He was smart in the game, like in what he was doing and what he accomplished. So he, in doing this though, he also introduces the girls to a third member. And the third member is the DJ, and her name is Spinderella. However, it's not the Spinderella that we all have come to know. It is Latoya. That's her name. Latoya is the first Spinderella, right? Now, the girls, especially Sought, are reluctant. They don't want another member. Okay? They don't want another member. They are fine with it just being them two. It had been them two for 2 years, and he's just now coming in 87 with a new member, Spinderella. Like, who is this girl? And let me tell you something about women. We are very territorial at times, and I'm going to say some of us, that way, you know, because there's always exceptions to the rule. But we are very territorial, and we can be very possessive over our stuff. Like, you can't have us as homies and best friends working together, and we have our baby, which is Salt and Pepper, and then you bring another girl in here. Which I think really is the root of their conflict with Spinderella. I think, but we haven't gotten to her yet. The Spinderella that we know, Deirdre. So we'll get into that, but I just want to start there. So then they start working on Push It, y'all, and they really didn't even like the record that much. And I can't even imagine. I hear a lot of artists talk about how they ain't really like for instance, Toni Braxton talks about how she didn't like Unbreak My Heart. And I'm just like, what? Like, especially with a song like Push It, that beat, when that beat comes, even when it was playing in the movie, I'm sitting here like, you know, I'm sitting in here watching it like, what? Y'all ain't like this? How do you not like this? I can understand you being weird about the ooh baby baby. Let me tell you, that part was hilarious, seeing Pep like, ah baby, ooh baby, like that part had me cracking up. But like, how do you, I can understand you not liking that part, but how do you not like that song? Like, as soon as it comes on, I don't know. Anyway, they're rehearsing. Salt is starting to snack. We see her throughout the movie doing some snackaging, and Herbie's getting on her about her weight. He's actually getting on both of them about their weight, but especially Salt, and she of course gets defensive about it. And so she leaves her jacket at rehearsal. She comes back, and when she comes back into after rehearsal's over, she comes back to get the jacket. She sees Herbie all over Latoya. So she knows he's cheating, but she's kind of stuck in this situation because it's like, do I leave now? I've been in this group for a long time. He's part of the group, you know. Yeah, no, how that stuff goes. And I wonder if that plays a role in the girls and their warmness towards once the new Spinderella came and once Latoya got fired. So then the next scene, we see Pep's hair, and she's getting a relaxer, looks like a relaxer, and they burn her hair out. It's so crazy how things align, man. Just like with Bobby Brown, and how that barber messed his hair up, and then it became a signature hairstyle for him. Like, same situation. This girl messes her hair up, and it becomes a signature hairstyle. And you see Salt, who is always going above and beyond as a friend, and always looking out and taking care of the people around her. She offers to cut her hair too, just so they can be alike. And, you know, it shows her loyalty to her friend and what her willingness is in the friendship. So, all right. So Latoya gets fired. She's showing up an hour late to rehearsal. She and Salt calls it out. Like, you are very hard and you ride Pepa all the time about anything. But you don't say anything, Herbie, when this girl is late constantly. And he says, so you want me to fire her? She's like, I ain't say all that. And so he fires her. So then he introduces the second Spinderella. Spinderella, this is Deidre. I want to make sure I say her name correctly. Deidre Roper. Yep. She was actually 16 when she got started. So the girls are like in their 20s. And then they have her coming in at the age of 16. And you can see like she's wanting to be included. You can see that, and the movie went above and beyond to show that we're over here and she's over there. They went really far to do that. And so, okay, there's a lot of conflict with this situation. So I guess I'm going to get into it right now, y'all. Get into it right now. So a lot of people did not want to see this movie, and I feel like Salt-N-Pepa are losing fans over this because, you know, there was a lawsuit with Spinderella, and Spinderella not feeling included, and then Spinderella ultimately getting terminated from the group. And a lot of people are mad when they watch Salt-N-Pepa, when Salt-N-Pepa is mentioned, because they feel like they treat Spinderella like a stepchild. And they've only seen Spinderella in promos and stuff with Salt-N-Pepa. And they write off Salt-N-Pepa because of the situation. Now me, I got mixed feelings about it. And I'm going to say it 2 more times. I got mixed feelings about it. Why? Because of these reasons. 1, if I'm in a group with my best friend, if I'm in a group with my best friend and we've been in a group, we started the group, we've been in and we did all the legwork for 2 years. And then here you come, 16-year-old kid. I'm 22. You're 16. Here you come. I never even wanted no third member. Let's start there. I never wanted no third member. Okay, so you in a group. We let you here in a group. Alright, right? I don't feel like, because a lot of people are like, well, how you going to use her image in the movie? Like, with these women who are icons, who are legendary, and they want to do a movie about themselves before somebody else does, I think it's perfectly fine that they did a movie. And they had her there in it. I think it was fine. They didn't give her a whole lot of lines, which I thought that was best. She said enough to let us know she was here. She was around enough to let us know she was here. I did see the intentional separation, and I feel bad for Spin because I feel like, and I don't know her, but I feel, and even watching the movie, I feel like she was there trying to just feel included. Like she was like an outcast trying to like, hey guys, you know, that's how it looked. And I'm sure that's how it felt. At least that's what I get. And I could tell that she was kind of trying to find her place in the group. Also while playing the role that she was given, which is the person who's the DJ who's in the background. So it's like, I'm a team player. I'm trying to be in part of the group. I know they don't really want me here. I know they don't really, probably may not even fully respect me. Like, I remember seeing the scene where Salt's in the tub and she tells her she makes Spin rehearse 2 hours after every show. So Salt was not exactly warm to Spinderella. And I wish she would have been. However, I kind of get it. Because if you come in my group, especially as a singer, and I hate always mentioning that, but as a singer, you come in my group, I don't know that you're going to be my bestie. And then here's the mistake that I think a lot of us fans make. We think that because we see them on stage together that they're all cool. We don't know the dichotomy of these ladies' relationship. You saw it spinning some pictures, but the two front women was Salt-N-Pepa. The two front women through all of the years was Salt-N-Pepa. Do I think Spin should have been included in the making of this movie? Absolutely. Do I think I would have loved to have heard her voice, and I would have loved things to be honky-dory, but I do understand the business too. Because if I had a legendary group that big with my bestie, and you not acting right, or at least I can't meet your stipulations or whatever, and in addition to that, you've been kicked out. I'm still making this movie. It's a little different when you talk about small scale individuals who, you know, haven't reached the level of success that these ladies have. But really, people put out movies about your life and can legally do that without your permission. So, I mean, business-wise, if you ain't on board, one monkey don't stop no show. Sorry. I hate to be like that. But I feel it. Like, I feel it. Like I said, I got mixed feelings, and you might think that I don't like Spin or that I'm taking sides. I mean, I guess I am. I'm more on the Salt-N-Pepa side only because, you know, it is their group. And I feel like maybe, and I get the impression, and Spin didn't talk a whole lot about it, but I get the impression she always wanted it to be her group along with them. Not like she's trying to take over their group. She wanted to be an equal party, but the reality is just you didn't come in. It wasn't equal when you came in. So I hated seeing her being treated that way. I do feel like she was probably treated wrong in those ways, and maybe not paid what she felt she should have been paid. And I'm glad she went to court, and I'm glad they got that part taken care of. But as far as the making of this movie, I feel like, you know, I probably would have made the movie too without her. Had it been too much of a hassle to do it with her. Like I said, I hate to see her as an outcast. And she is a legend in her own right as a woman DJ, and to be up there with them, changing the world. She is an icon in her own right. She has her own lane. But I'm okay with Salt-N-Pepa having a different lane than her. I'm okay with that. Because I hate to say it, but I don't feel like they needed her. Did I love her there? Yes. She looked great in the group. She fit in. You know, everything worked well. But they could have did that without her. They were there doing the initial leg work. It's their faces that's on the front of majority of things. Like when I went back and watched the Arsenio Hall interview, he's like, so I know these two are Salt-N-Pepa, so who are you? Paprika? That's what he said to her. He asked if she was Paprika. So, you know, I hate to see a woman trying to find her place and trying to fit in and not being, you know, treated fairly, but you walked into an unfair kind of situation, and I could see why it would take a toll on you. So I get it. But when I think about it, like being in the studio for hours and you're rapping, those two ladies were in the studios for hours and hours and days. And they had been in the studio for hours working hard towards this group for a couple years before you even got here. And so she definitely contributed to the group for sure. I mean, if she joined in 87 and they're still performing and she just recently got fired, heckies, yeah, she's important to this group. But, I mean, I feel them on this, you know? But the leg work, that goes to that mostly goes to Salt and Peppa. It just does. It's not an equal setup. I mean, Spin came, busted a couple rhymes here and there. She has her own legacy, and I would love to hear what the full extent of it. So when she comes out with Surviving Salt and Peppa, I'll be ready to hear it. So that's how I feel about that. I hope she got the money that she deserves, because it seemed like she had a bad deal. I hope the ladies didn't have anything to do with that. But then the ladies had bad deals too. Like, I remember seeing how, Pep was being confronted because she was only making 3 points. She had 3 points. Pep had 3 points, and Herbie had 6. So, yeah. So, Pep goes out that night and that next night, and she's at the club, and who does she find? She finds Herbie's egotistical behind there cheating with another woman, okay? So, he tells her, like, I'll kick you out this group if you tell Salt. And she lets him know, like, I can't tell her nothing she don't already know. You know, she know, you know? So, he definitely threatens her because he never really wanted her in the group to begin with. He would constantly give her a hard time, and Peppa and Salt would kind of stick up for her. So, Salt eventually figures it out. They're in the studio. They're having another session, and of course there's conflict in the session. And Salt answers his phone, and it's another woman, and she tells her basically, girl, check the sheets, because them sheets ain't clean. But you'll find out. Yeah. So I can see Salt feeling stuck. Can't imagine. It's hard, though, when you mix in business with pleasure. You know, there's a saying where it's like, don't get your meat where you get your bread and butter. So it's kind of hard to, it's just a hard place to be in, because you're jeopardizing now it's not just you and your career, it's also Pep and hers, and she, you know, like, what do I do with this? Because I love this, but you are toxic. I could see her in that. So Herbie's doing real foul stuff. He's like booking studio gigs, leaving Salt there, checking his beeper, and leaving her there for full out studio sessions, and he's gone with other women. Yeah, he got real blatant with it. It's disgusting. But it opened the door up for Salt to start producing herself. And so that's when Express Yourself came out of her. I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of other songs that came, but she ended up being successful at Express Yourself, and she showed herself that she could do it, and she was able to step into her own, which was great to see her, because she's starting to open up. She's starting to learn who she is very slowly within these other people around her. She's figuring out who she is, and she's developing who Salt is and what that looks like. Who is Cheryl? So Salt's like, you know what, he doing what he do, so I'm gonna go out and hang out with Gavin. So they go on their first date, and it's cute to watch the beginning and the start of their relationship. So Pep meets a guy, I think his name is Tai. He's at the club. He is buying drinks for the whole club. He got big money, and she meets him, and they have a little relationship, and she ends up getting pregnant with her first child, Thailand, from old dude at the club. So she tells him like, look, I'm pregnant, and he's like, I thought you was on a pill, and she's like, well, nigga, I'm not, and I'm having this baby. So then you see a pregnant Pep, and you see Salt, and they are going to renegotiate their deals. They are trying to take over the business side and just be treated more, just treated fairly. Yeah, they want to be treated fairly in this musical game. They see Herbie's game, they see what he's doing, and they want something better, and they go and confront him. But it's cool to see Pep empowering Salt to open up and speak her mind, and to fight for what she wants and not settle in this foolery that she's in, you know? You see her doing that. So they renegotiate the deal. You know, I'm sure it was a lot of hard work, but it goes well. And so then it goes off into Salt is with Herbie at his house, and she's holding this baby, and it's the cutest little baby. A woman comes over with the baby, only to find that this baby she's holding is Herbie's baby. And so that's when she gets the strength to break up with him. She gets the strength, and she gets up and she breaks up with him. And I'm glad she did. So then they transition into Pep having her baby and Ty not being there. Salt being there. I'm sure it was other people there, but Salt was there. And Ty was not. So anyway, Salt and Pep, they take over their own business. Their bond is stronger than ever at this point. They're having parties at the club every Tuesday night. That's their party. They figure these men are making money off of us, we can make money off of them. And they just become bosses. And I just love seeing it. I loved seeing it. So yeah. Around that time, that's when Let's Talk About Sex comes out. They start performing that. And then, so they're performing, and once the performance is over, they Pep has Thailand, and Salt is pregnant. Thailand goes running off, and who does he go to? Goes to Tretch. And that's how her and Tretch met. And so they meet, and they have their fling, and they hit it off really well. They hit it off about rapping and just living life as just just a couple round the way kids, you know. And so they hit it off. And so that's when you see the girls on Arsenio with those terrible wigs. But on Arsenio, they discuss about how they are really about sex awareness and it's safe sex, spreading the awareness of safe sex and the AIDS epidemic, and how there was a method to their madness, and how they really went up there to really talk about real issues as these grown women do. All right. So Arsenio kind of throws the Gavin situation, the Herbie and Salt situation out there, and she didn't correct Arsenio. She let it fly, and Gavin really had a problem with this. Like, well, you just don't want the world to know that you with nobody. You want the world to think you want the world to think this baby is Herbie's. Like, he really gets mad about that, and I can see that. And I can see her choking up too. Like, oh, sheesh. I ain't expecting to ask me that. Alright, so Herbie's ego is just really at all-time high. The ladies are on their third album. He wrote It's None of Your Business. He loves the song. He feels like it's a hit. The girls are like, you know what? We need to write our own music because this is old and we need something that's going to hit and be out here. So they have a friendly competition that half the songs will be Salt and Pepa's to write, the other half will be Herbie's. And you know, so during that duration of time, Um, Peppa writes shoot. She comes up with the concept for shoot. She calls Salt. What is Salt doing? Salt's on her way to church. Because why? Salt is a church-going lady, and this is what her life is. And Pep is a partier. This is what her life is. So she calls her, and she's like, girl, okay, all right, I'm going to write it. You know what I'm saying? But Pep happens to be at a party when she calls. And at this party, she slides off into a private room to make the phone call. And then you see Tretch, he's drinking. And he has a violent episode with her. It didn't show him hitting her, but we got the point. Okay? And I feel like, and I don't know if Tretch will feel this way, I'm waiting to find out, but I feel like Pep was being cautious and making sure that we knew that Tretch was a good guy. And he wasn't a bad man, but he just had his demons. I felt like she was really trying to hone in that. And like not allowing us to see him beat her. But we got the point that his anger was really getting out of control. Stuff like that. But then making sure to give his backstory a little bit and show him how well he was with the kids. And, you know, a couple times he was treating her right. I felt like she was really trying to be strategic about making sure it not look like he was just this woman beating maniac out here. Alrighty. So, yeah, Tretch gets mad because he's like, I feel like you trying to play me out here. Like, you sliding off, making phone calls without me. Like, what you into? And so that's how that went. So, you see the ladies at the studio, they got their babies on their hips and they are rapping. And it is so inspiring to see because it's just like, yes. Because Lord knows if the Lord blesses me with the child, that child coming wherever I go. Like, all right, let's go. Where we going? Because, I mean, this is what I do and this is what I love. And so you just gonna come with me. You just gonna come with me. But they are still being bosses while they're out here still following their dreams. So then Tretch shows up. He apologizes to Pep. And, of course, Herbie got a problem with that. And, yeah. So, they're in Russia. They're talking. And Salt tells her, look, I don't like Tretch. He needs to, I mean, he's fine and all, but his temper is too bad, you know. And Pep's like, he ain't like that all the time, you know. He's been through a lot. Like, he ain't like that all the time. So anyway, Salt tries to tell Pep, like, look, have you ever thought about us doing something else? Like, do you know, like, have you ever thought about what our lives would be like outside of this? Like, I'm starting to feel like I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, I don't want to be 50 years old talking about push it. And so Pep fell asleep. Like, she ain't trying to hear none of that. She's like, girl, let's live in the moment. We in Russia right now. We on tour. Let's, like, enjoy the life we created. We said we had to be about this life now that we created it. And she fell asleep. She blew it off. You see Salt eating throughout this movie and having this struggle with food, and you see her developing bulimia, which unfortunately there was a good number of black women who were struggling from eating disorders at that time, trying to maintain their weight. I know Brandy is one that I heard about for sure. Was trying to maintain her weight, and I think she might have been bulimic as well. Just trying to keep up that image. It's a horrible, horrible thing to hear about when you think about it. Like, dang, you're eating food and you can't even enjoy it. You just gotta throw it right up. And it's just sad to watch. It's sad to watch, and I can relate. I've never had an eating disorder. Let me put it this way. I've never had an eating disorder in the sense of trying to starve myself or try to throw up my food. But my problem is comfort eating, you know, sugar cravings, stress eating, stuff like that. So that really could be in the same sense of an eating disorder. And especially when you are an entertainer, you're out here and you how you look is so important to everybody. They don't even care about how you feel. They don't care about what's going on with you internally, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. They don't care that it took you forever to try to get dressed that day. It's just about you and how skinny you should look to them. So, yeah. Anyway, you see Salt, and you can see her internal battles. She's trying to put a smile on for everybody, take care of everybody, but she's battling internally. And she's self-sabotaging. Alright. Tretch, his anger gets worse. Salt and Pepper end up going to court with Herbie. They win, which I'm happy they do. You know, as his anger gets worse, Salt is there to kind of help Pep get through it. She says that her father was a raging alcoholic, so she knows what that looks like. And so, you know, she tries to be there and comfort Sandy, Pep, through things. But it starts to reach a place where Pep starts to take advantage. Pep stops showing up to the studio. You know, Salt's calling her, and she got people telling her, like, Pep's not here when she's here. And so Salt pops up on her. Because it's like, I'm at the studio by myself. I'm producing by myself. And you're taking advantage. You're taking liberties. You're taking advantage of me. And I thought it was interesting to see, because you see them imploding. You see the group slowly imploding. You see them. You see Salt is finally getting her voice. And she's finally standing up for herself. And she finally gets out of this emotionally abusive relationship with Herbie, only for her relationship with Pep to become kind of emotionally abusive, if that makes sense. Because it's like, you're my best friend, but now you're taking advantage of me. You're attacking my character. And Salt would attack Pep's character as well. You know, they're judging each other in their decision making and how they handle different things. Oh, well, you just want to party and do anything. You want to hang with any of these people. They're not your friends. And so it's, oh, you just want to go to church. You know, they are attacking one another because the business gets to be a lot. And it's a lot of silent frustrations on both ends. So the group starts to implode. And, you know, there's rumors. They're arguing. All that type of stuff. All that stuff is happening. And Salt, I could see the walls closing in. Like in the movie, you could see it's like as if the walls are closing in on her. And I could see why she felt trapped in the group. I could see why she wanted to leave the group. Heck, I would have left the group too. Alright. So they start talking about doing smaller venues. Salt is not with it. She was like, 5 years ago, we was doing these huge venues. Pep is like, look, girl, we need this money. So Salt is like, you know what? I'm pregnant. I'm going to let you handle it reluctantly. Okay. And she does. She handles it. While this is happening, Pep gets married to Tretch. What a Man with En Vogue is coming out. They are performing. Salt is very pregnant. And she ends up falling right on top of the baby. While she's pregnant. Like, she's still pregnant. But she falls on her pregnant belly during the performance. She gets up and tries to tough it out. She goes to the doctor, and the doctor's like, look, you gotta stop working. Because you gotta take care of your body. You're working way too much. And during this time, Pep has a premonition of death. So while that premonition is going on, Salt decides to take a break. She goes to church. She's hearing a sermon. It's about food. It's about unhealthy living. It's about having boundaries amongst people. The people around you in your life. It's about getting right with Christ. Like, she's just really going through it. She's really going through it. Meanwhile, Tretch and Pep continue to fight. So Salt makes the phone call. She's sitting in church, and she makes the phone call to Pepa. Pep is trying to tell her, girl, look, I left Tretch. And she's like, girl, I can't do this no more. I can't be attached to your hip anymore. I have to see what my life looks like without this. And it was sad, but it was necessary. Okay? Very necessary. And you see Pep reach a place where she's at her lowest and she is about to commit suicide. But then she hears her child call her name. You see the ladies during their time where they're broken up, and Salt puts together an album, but she doesn't release it because she doesn't like the way it sounds without Pep. Pep tries to get gigs without Salt. She can't get them. Next thing you know, you see VH1. They want to honor the ladies. Salt's like, who am I? I can't say no to this. And after 4 years of not speaking or seeing each other, they come together on stage and they rock the stage. And that is the movie verbatim, y'all. I went through the whole movie. I want to go more in depth with the conflicts. So like the conflict with Herbie was, I think he never really wanted Pep in the group. Her personality was too strong. He's used to dealing with somebody who just did not have such a strong personality, I would imagine. And she would challenge him every step of the way. And he started to build this ego where he didn't want to be challenged. He didn't want to be questioned. He didn't want to be confronted about his cheating. And then he began comparing the ladies, which is something you can never do. When you have women in a group, comparing them, that's never going to work for you or them. Yeah, doesn't work. And he just started becoming shady with the business. He's not a bad guy, but I think he got caught up with, I don't know if he's a bad guy. He might be a bad guy. I don't know. But I think he got caught up with, the group and his ego and his big head and wanting what he wants and never being satisfied. I think that, like I mentioned with the conflict of Spin, there was a territorial, possessive type of nature here with the girls, especially when you see your man is sleeping with one of the new members. So it's like, I'm never getting close to a new member. Forget that. And I can see that. Like, I can see that. I can see it. I hate that it's like that because I like Spin and I wish it was a fair situation that she was in. And I could see that being emotionally, there being emotional turmoil there. I could see that happening. So, I hate that it's the way it is, but from a place of business and entertainment, the show must go on, and one monkey don't stop no show. And if we have a legendary group, legendary, keyword is legendary, not like I was in a couple singing groups here in the city. I don't feel like I'm gonna do no life movie and include that, but like for a legendary group, I absolutely would have did the same thing. That's how I feel. Conflict with one another. You know, they needed that break apart. They need to figure out who they were outside of this group, because it starts to become who you are. It starts to become your self-worth. And so it was important for them to kind of separate and figure out who they are with the group. So yeah, like I enjoyed the movie. I liked it a lot. And now I'm gonna get into the stuff I did not like. Alright, so the negatives about this movie. I didn't like that I didn't hear much about their childhood at all. Like, where was that? Like, I don't know that if they knew how important that was to the fans. Like, how did you grow up? What was life like growing up before college? What was you doing? Pep, what was you doing? Like, I want to know all that type of stuff too. I really wish this movie would have been like long, like the New Edition movie, like, because I want to know all that stuff. I want to know what y'all were doing during that time when y'all weren't rapping together. What was y'all doing? What was going on in life? So I just don't feel like they were open enough when it came to that type of stuff. And then I know Salt was very guarded about her home life. So yeah, I wanted to know more. I felt like they kind of left us with problems. Like, for instance, Salt fell on her baby while she was pregnant. She fell on top of her pregnant belly. What happened with the baby? Did the baby survive? Is the baby alright? Like, what's going on with the baby? I want to know more about that type of stuff. Like, you know, what's going on with your eating disorder? Like, I know from watching some interviews that you no longer are bulimic, but how did you get out of that? I want to know what you did to get out of that. You know, I felt like they honed in on the food issue too much. Like, I don't need every scene to be like with Salt eating chips and snacks and food being around. Okay, like, I felt like that was a bit extra. But I do like that it kind of showed Salt's flaws, because I guess it would give this impression that Pep just was a bag full of flaws, and Salt wasn't. But I just felt like it was just too much. It got to be kind of rushy at the end to me. Like, it was like too many commercials. It was like you're showing one clip and then you go back to commercials. Like, it just started. You know how these Lifetime biopic movies go. Like, you'll be watching it and then it'll do like 5 scenes in the beginning, then go to the commercial. Then at the end, towards the end of the movie, you'll see like 1 scene and then it'll go to commercial, because you can see they hurry up and trying to wrap it up. And so that was annoying. I mean, the movie really could have went to theaters for real, I think. Or, like I said, it could have had a couple days or a couple parts to it, just like the New Edition movie did. I felt like, you know, a negative obviously is that the girls don't fully look like Salt and Peppa. So in the promos look to be corny, like the pictures and stuff. So it was like, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna like this, but I end up really, really, enjoying it. And then it was not fun to watch Spin being separated so intentionally. But I mean, if that's what it was, that's what it was. They're like, we're over here, you over there. You're 16, I'm 22. Like, you're 6 years younger than me. I'm not about to be out here hanging with you. I mean, whatever. Yeah, so I already talked about that. I felt like a couple of the transitions were corny. I felt like a couple of the transitions were corny. Like, for instance, like the lightning bolt, and then you see Salt throwing up, and then Pep is like having the baby. I thought that was kind of corny, the transition of it. And like the transition of like Tretch and Pep having sex, like how they're like on this big whatever, incline or whatever, and then they fall and now they're having sex. I thought that was kind of weak. So yeah, I thought that was corny. Of course, I already made mention a couple of them wigs wasn't right, but it's all good, you know. I liked some of them. And yeah, that was mostly it as far as my negatives for the movie. Overall, I enjoyed it. Let's see, you said the way they did Spin was wrong. I don't know if I think the way they did Spin was wrong. I just feel like it was what it was. Like, you're 6 years younger. You came in 2 years later. You're not my friend. Like, you're not my friend. We're not friends. Like, you here in the group. I respect you on a professional level, but you come in the group, you already know, like, we didn't even want a third member. We never wanted a third member. So even though you've been here for years, you know, you weren't part of our clique, our friendship. Let's see. That movie was a lie. Salt and Pepper directed it, so they didn't tell the whole truth. I don't know. But I do know that they tried to make it, I guess, cut and dry. Like, they tried to stick it to, like, this movie's about friendship. This movie's about Salt and Pepper, the story. That's it. So they were like, took a real cut and dry approach. Like, that's it. We're not talking about relationships too much. We're not talking about our childhood. We're not going to talk too much about Spin. We're not going to talk too much about, like, so they kept it real cut and dry. You want to know how this group got started? Here you go. That's how it was. But all the other elements of really, like, how the group got started, what the group is doing now, was there. If you want to know those things were there. But I liked it. I thought the dancing looked good. I thought the rapping sounded real. I thought the songs and the performances looked real. The essence of their friendship and who they were was there. And yeah, I like the movie. Y'all. I can't give it no rating or nothing, but when I watch those biopic movies, there are certain things I'm looking for. I need that acting to be on point and to look real, and it did. I need that music to be on point and look real, and it did. I need them outfits to be good. They were. I mean, them wigs wasn't the best, but, you know, sometimes we have our days. It is what it is. Yeah, I was cool with it. I liked it. So, check out, and I know this is a super long review, but I needed to get through everything. Y'all see I got pages of notes for this movie. I watched it twice for y'all, just because I wanted to make sure I gave a thorough review on the movie. Yeah, so that's how I feel about it. I say if you are a Salt and Pepper fan, check the movie out. I liked it. If you really feel a big way about this Spinderella thing, don't watch it, because you're gonna be mad. Because they do separate her, but like I said, I felt like there was always a separation there. I don't feel like this was no new thing. Yeah, I don't feel like it was no new thing, and with them being as big as they are, heck, I'm doing a movie before somebody else do one on my life. And I feel bad if I have to leave somebody out that's not, you either on the way or you in the way. Let me know what y'all think. Right? Comment below. Subscribe to my page. Like I said, let me know what you think. If you liked the movie, if you didn't, all that good stuff. Comment below. Hit the like button. Hit the share button. This is your girl Sherelle Unique here. I gotta finish taking this hair down. Alright, I'll talk to y'all later. I'll holla.